Have you ever gotten on a call with a decision maker and you're not sure what questions you need to be asking? Maybe they say something that throws you off and you're trying to figure out how you can turn this call into a corporate contract? Look no further, because in this video, I'm going to walk you through the exact system that I walk my clients through who pay me multiple thousands of dollars to learn how to close these opportunities and have gone on to work with companies like Louis Vuitton, Moet Hennessy, nonprofits all over the world, turn hourly deals into 5-figure contracts, be able to sell courses for just under $10,000. And for me, this system has yielded over $16 million collected, sold throughout my entire career. And that was going all the way back nearly a decade ago to things that still work today in 2026. So I say all that to say, this guide, this structure that you're about to get is going to be game changing if you put it into practice before your next corporate discovery call. Now, before I get into all this goodness, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. I know you're going to enjoy this particular video, but I've done so much on this topic, and subscribing is how you're going to get notified when I have new content coming out. It's completely free. It costs you nothing. So in exchange for getting this great information, go ahead and click subscribe now. I know you're going to want to hang around. All right, so let's get into this. Why does this come up? I've talked to dozens of people who happen to finally get someone on a call that may be interested in working with them, and they represent a company, a corporation, a nonprofit, etc. And I hear things like, well, it just ended in a coffee chat. Well, they told me to just send a proposal and send my information over. Has that sound like any of you? Has anyone ever told you just send the pricing and we'll figure it out? And then what typically happens, class? Let me know. You get ghosted. They never respond. You send the information over. You spend all this time putting together this proposal for nothing. You have these conversations and they go nowhere. Maybe you've even had a deal before and you've tried to re-engage people and it goes nowhere. This is often because while we're so focused on how we get people interested in talking with us, not enough people focus on the key is what happens once they get on the call. How do you take control of the call to ensure you're not just getting on there and them blabbing all about these things you don't understand, get to the end of 30 or 45 minutes and realize you've wasted your time? As a business owner, your time is precious and valuable, and you do not have to waste it on calls that go nowhere. When you follow the system that I'm going to be sharing with you today, you can uncover opportunities that can close quickly and also set the credibility and frame so people know when they come to this conversation that you're here to do business and not to just make friends. So let's dive in. I'm going to pull up this brand new discovery guide that I created, and I'm going to talk through it as you guys are watching me go through this live. And let me know in the comments if it will be helpful to do a live demonstration of how these conversations would typically go. I don't know if I'm going to do it on this channel. Maybe I'll do it for people who work with me or do it as a part of some workshop. But if I see some interest here, that might turn into something. So go ahead and drop a comment if you want to see a live demo of this at some point. First things first is you have to understand the purpose of this call. Most times people go into it and they have no intention. They're just thinking, well, I'm just going to talk to them and we're just going to see, what's going to happen. And I'm just here to see what they have for me or how this is going to turn out. You've already lost if you start a conversation like that. Your purpose needs to be very clear. For any discovery call, you should be there to identify if there's a real opportunity that you and the person on the other end of the line can partner together to create an outcome. You need to gather some very specific information. You should be understanding, is there a need? Is this the time? And do they have the budget to be able to move forward and hire you for this project? I write about this in my book. I also talk about it in detail with clients. It's called the proposal exit ticket. Those are the 3 things that you must cover to ensure that you are in alignment and using your time wisely as you are interacting with these corporations. So the first step of intention is super, super important. You are the leader. You are guiding this call. If you don't show that presence and attention up front, they will get on and take you down a long, windy road to somewhere else that doesn't end with a true opportunity. So the first section of this is going to be your introduction. Here's where most people get this wrong. They think they just need to be like, how's the weather there? Where are you located? All those things are great and they have a time and place in the conversation, but they're really not the most powerful openers that you can use to be able to establish your credibility and also move people forward to making a decision. So maybe there's a piece of information that you saw, maybe an update on LinkedIn, a news platform, something on their profile that's interesting. Maybe you want to offer them just a moment to take a breather if they're in back-to-back meetings. Those things are a bit more intentional and can also create a human connection in which you've done some homework or you've just been present in the moment and you're not just asking random small talk questions. Now, this could be just me, but I absolutely hate small talk. Do I identify as an introvert anymore? I don't know. As a past introvert, I used to identify with that a lot. I really don't know if I do anymore. That it can be nerve-wracking to come into these conversations and feel like you need to have random small talk. So I built this for people who are either introverted or extroverted to keep you focused on the topic. So if you're thinking you typically get nervous, you might be sweating, whatever, you feel all this angst, grounding yourself into asking real questions will actually help you than to just rattling off the what's the weather, how's your grandkids conversation that you really don't care about anyway. Stick to the point, connect with them. Your next section is going to be to frame the conversation. If you don't do this, they will take control. And not that that's necessarily, giving them control is not something that you want to do, but having the ball in their court for them to share certain things has been valuable. But before they get into that, you want to make sure you're clear on what the intention is of this conversation. So even if they start diving in and talking, you want to bring it back and say, here's what I'd like to discuss today. Here's what brought us here. I'm going to ask you some questions. We're going to find a solution. And then at that point, we're going to be able to understand what the next steps are for this partnership should there be an opportunity. So that frame is important. Then you want to start to uncover some things. This is one of the most valuable skill sets in this B2B corporate world space that you could ever have. So lean in here. You want to understand more about their roles and priorities. Too many people are trying to put together a pitch when they should be focusing on how do I ask the right questions that formulate a pitch that's going to get an easy yes. This section, when done right, will tell you exactly what you need to offer in your pitch and in your proposals. Hear me again. When you ask the right questions in this section, you should be creating an offer that will get an easy yes based on their language. This is where you want to ask about what are they measured on? What are they focused on? What are their priorities right now? What problems do they own or do they influence? Have they seen that they want to get solved? And in terms of all of those things, what is the main priority that you're focused on right now? That right there is the through line to what you can be offering. Then once you have some clarity there, you want to start to uncover what does the opportunity look like? What is the solution here? Tell me more about how this affects the organization. What have you already done to address this? How did that work out? Like all of this is kind of framing up what a potential solution could look like from their language. Again, they're doing more of the talking. You are just framing and giving prompts to provide the information that you need and that they need also to understand if you're the right person to help them solve that problem. This is not an interview. I've seen people go into these conversations and it's here's my resume, here's what I do, and da-da-da. This is not that. You get them talking about you. There will be a time and place for you to share all of your information. In fact, in that building rapport section, in that introduction, you give a strong statement about what it is and what you do right there. During the proposal, during follow-up emails, like there's so many different ways that they can learn more about you. But if you get them on a call, they should be doing most of the talking, right? Let them talk. Let them tell you all the details that they need to know, that you need to know in order to see if you can help them. So once you begin to explore that solution, you see what their needs are, you see where the gaps are, this is where you start to get even deeper. What is the timeline in which you're willing to do this? As I mentioned before, the proposal exit ticket is where this really matters because it helps us identify that need, timing, and budget. This is what we need before we move to any next steps. So we start to ask, what does the timeline look like? Where are you in this process of making a decision? What type of budget has been allocated for this? What have you allocated for similar initiatives? And once you have a good idea that there is a need, there's a timeline that they're working on, and there's a budget in which they have allocated for this work, then you have the green light. This is when I would say to a client, Move forward. Your exit ticket is completed, and now you are ready to make that introduction of what your solution could look like. This is just a high level path. This is not going into detail into all the different things that you can do and all that you have to offer. This is solving that one intricate problem that they mentioned was most important, a priority for them, and giving them a loose structure on how they can achieve the intended solution or outcome that they mentioned. After you have outlined that, you want to do a quick pulse check. What are your initial thoughts? What would you add that I missed? Is there anything that I didn't cover? Something to make it clear that what you've outlined is exactly what they need to move forward. At that point, you're ready to determine what the next steps are. So if everything is a green, you should be ready to move forward. If it's a straightforward opportunity, close it on the call. If it's something more complex with many different layers, go ahead and move forward to the proposal section. And I could probably do a whole nother video on when to do proposals and when not to do proposals. Go ahead and comment in the comments if you would like me to do something like that, so I know that's of interest to you, so that you can be able to move this forward swiftly. Opportunities do not have to take 6 to 12 months to close when you run it like this. When you build out a pipeline of opportunities, instead of just focusing on one to be your end all to be all, if you run this process, you'll find that you'll have multiple opportunities in your pipeline to close throughout the entire year. Once you have gotten the clarity on the next steps on how you all are moving forward, congratulations. You have gotten to a great outcome. Either you have found something that's aligned for now, you've found some alignment, but maybe the timing is off, or there's no alignment and you just end with, this has been a great discussion. I look forward to us remaining in each other's network. And if I see anything that identifies with your priorities, I'll be sure to share it with you. Now you've added someone to your network that could potentially be a client or an opportunity in the future. It is a win-win-win always, no matter how the call ends, as long as you follow this structure. Now, if you've gotten to this point and you're thinking, all right, great, I would be excited to get a call. I know exactly how I'm going to structure it, but I still need help with getting people on the call, then you're going to love this free guide that I created for you in the description. It's our signature email template that we have used to book conversations in them as quickly as 2 weeks. That's not a guarantee. We can't make guarantees, but just speaking on the results of what has happened with this template, not to be something that is average, but it was one of our standout results that we're excited about. But generally, it is the structure of what an email should look like that is not pitching your services, that is just pitching a conversation that leads to what I shared here in this discovery call, that leads to a closed opportunity. So these are all the pieces in the process to help you as a coach get more corporate contracts in your business, and you're going to want to follow each step. So if you're looking for assistance with getting calls booked, go ahead and grab that email template in the description so that you can begin implementing that into your business today. And then once you get the calls, you'll have this video to walk you through each section of how that could go, how that needs to go, so that it can turn into a deal for you and your business. And if you don't want this time to end, I want you to check out this next video that'll help you continue to run this like a well-oiled machine. And I cannot wait to support you in getting your next corporate contract, because these opportunities are out here for you. But you've got to know how to frame the conversation. You got to know how to get people on the call, how to uncover the opportunity, and how to close it. And that is what we do over here on the Get Corporate Clients Now side of the world. I can't wait to see you on the next video. Go use this. If you have a call coming up and you use this framework, let me know in the comments so I can celebrate you and learn more on how it led you to a closed opportunity. I'll talk to you soon.